The notification popped up on my phone screen at 2:47 a.m., harsh blue light cutting through the darkness of Frank's study where I'd fallen asleep again. Another night surrounded by his things, his reading glasses still folded on the mahogany desk, his coffee mug still waiting to be washed. 8 months since the cancer took him, and I still couldn't bring myself to change anything. Wells Fargo alert. Withdrawal of $47,000 from account ending in 8924. My heart stopped, then started again, hammering against my ribs like a caged bird. I fumbled for my reading glasses, certain I'd misread the number. $47,000 at 2:47 in the morning. No. My fingers shook as I logged into our online banking. The password, Frank's birthday, combined with our anniversary, felt like a betrayal to type. He'd always handled the main accounts. "Just rest, Barb," he'd whispered during those final weeks. "I've taken care of everything." The account history loaded and my blood turned to ice water. $15,000 March 3rd, $23,000 March 18th, $31,000 April 2nd, $8,000 April 9th, $47,000 April 15th, today. $124,000, gone. Transferred to an account I didn't recognize, labeled only JW Holdings LLC. JW, Jennifer Wilson. My daughter.
Have you ever discovered someone you loved wasn't who you thought they were? Hit subscribe and share your thoughts below. Your story matters too. The drive to Jennifer's new house in Westwood Hills took 37 minutes. I know because I counted every second, my hands gripping the steering wheel of my 10-year-old Honda while my mind replayed Frank's dying words. "Promise me you'll protect what we built together, Barb. Promise me you'll be smart about it." I'd thought he meant the money. Now I wondered if he'd meant something else entirely. Jennifer's house blazed with lights despite the early hour. Music thumped from within, some kind of bass-heavy party music that seemed to shake the very foundation. Cars lined the circular driveway, Mercedes, BMW, a cherry-red Tesla with dealer plates. When had my daughter started living like this? "Mom!" Jennifer appeared at the door before I could ring the bell, champagne flute in hand, wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly pension. "What are you doing here? It's 3 in the morning." "We need to talk." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Privately." She laughed, that tinkling society laugh she'd developed recently. "Can't it wait? We're celebrating the Westfield closing. Carlos just landed the construction contract." Behind her, I could see the party in full swing. Men in expensive suits, women in cocktail dresses, my teenage granddaughter Emma holding what looked suspiciously like a wine glass. Now, Jennifer. Something in my tone must have penetrated her champagne bubble. She led me to a side office, closing the door against the noise. The room smelled of new leather and fresh paint. Everything pristine, expensive, perfect. "I need to ask you about some withdrawals from my account." The change was instantaneous. Her face went from annoyed to defensive to something I'd never seen before. Pure rage. "That's not your money." The words exploded from her like she'd been holding them in for years. The champagne glass shattered against the Italian marble floor. "Excuse me? You heard me." She stepped closer, her voice rising. "Dad left it for me to manage. I have power of attorney. You're too old to handle finances anymore." The door flew open. Carlos stood there, concern creasing his face. Behind him, party guests craned their necks to see the commotion. "Everything okay in here?" "Get out!" Jennifer screamed at him. Then, turning back to me, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I'm protecting you, Mom. You can barely remember to take your medications, and you want to question me about finances? I'm the one keeping you from losing everything." The humiliation burned like acid. All those faces, staring.
My granddaughter Emma pushing through the crowd, confusion and fear in her eyes. Grandma? Mom, what's happening? Your grandmother is confused, Jennifer announced to the room. She's been getting worse since Dad died. Paranoid, accusatory. This is why I had to take control. She pulled papers from a desk drawer, waving them like a weapon. See? Power of attorney, signed by Dad before he died. I'm in charge now, Mother, for your own good.
I stared at the papers, at Frank's supposed signature. My husband of 42 years, who'd held my hand through 3 miscarriages, who'd built a banking career on trust and prudence, who'd whispered, "You're my equal partner in everything" on our wedding day. Frank never signed anything without me, I said quietly. The room went silent. Jennifer's face flushed darker. Well, he did this time. Maybe he finally realized what I've known for years. You're not capable anymore. I turned to leave, dignity my only remaining armor. As I reached the door, I looked back at my daughter, this stranger wearing Jennifer's face. Your father saw everything, Jennifer, everything. The fear that flashed in her eyes was worth the humiliation. Almost. As I drove away, leaving the music and lights behind, one thought consumed me. Frank had tried to warn me. Those final weeks, the way he'd insisted on reviewing accounts, the locked safety deposit box he'd mentioned but never explained, the video camera he'd asked Carlos to set up for insurance purposes. My husband had known our daughter better than I had, and somewhere in the darkness of my grief, I'd missed all the signs. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jennifer's face, twisted with rage. Nothing like the little girl who used to crawl into my lap during thunderstorms. "Mommy, make the scary sounds go away," she'd whisper. Now she was the storm. By dawn, I sat in my kitchen, Frank's favorite mug clutched between my trembling hands. The coffee had gone cold hours ago, but I couldn't let go. It still smelled like him somehow. That mix of Colombian dark roast and the peppermint he'd sneak when he thought I wasn't looking. "I'm losing my mind," I whispered to his empty chair. "Tell me I'm wrong about her, Frank. Please." But Frank stayed silent, just like he had for 8 months, and the morning sun revealed what darkness had hidden. Bank statements scattered across our dining table like crime scene evidence. Each withdrawal, circled in red, my shaking hand having traced a map of betrayal. The doorbell shattered my spiral. Susan Chen stood on my porch, still in her Wells Fargo blazer, despite it being Saturday. We'd worked together for 15 years before I retired, and the concern in her eyes nearly broke me. "Barbara, I came as soon as I could. I saw the account activity alerts." "It's Jennifer." The words scraped my throat raw. She's stealing from me, Susan." Susan's face hardened. "I know, and there's more." My kitchen had never felt smaller as Susan spread out printouts, her movements efficient, professional, devastating. The account modifications started 6 months ago. Small at first, adding Jennifer as a co-signer, changing notification settings, rerouting statements. 6 months ago, my voice cracked. But Frank was still in the hospital. Yes. Susan's hand covered mine. "Barbara, she started this while you were saying goodbye to your husband." The room tilted. I gripped the table edge, bile rising in my throat. While I'd been sleeping on that horrible hospital cot, holding Frank's hand through the morphine haze, reading him his favorite Steinbeck passages, Jennifer had been planning this? "There's a pattern," Susan continued, professional armor cracking. "Every withdrawal corresponds with a major purchase. The Tesla, $78,000. The country club membership, $15,000. The house down payment." "Stop." I couldn't breathe. "Please stop." But Susan pushed one more paper across the table. "This came through yesterday. A loan application for $500,000 using your house as collateral. Your signature's on it, Barbara."
I stared at my forged name. Jennifer had even gotten my slight arthritis tremor wrong. I have to go. I stood too fast, the room spinning. Barbara, wait. But I was already moving, driven by an instinct I couldn't name. Frank's study, the safe behind his portrait, the combination, our wedding date. Jennifer didn't know we'd changed it last year. My phone rang as I spun the dial. Margaret's name flashed on screen. Don't say anything. My best friend's voice was strange, urgent. Just listen. I saw Jennifer at Morongo Casino last month. She was at the high-stakes tables, Barbara. She looked desperate, wild. I tried to talk to her, but she ran. There were men with her, dangerous-looking men. The safe clicked open as my world collapsed. Inside, Frank's real will, our marriage certificate, and a manila envelope marked "Only for Barbara, urgent." My hands shook so badly I could barely open it. Inside, a USB drive and a note in Frank's careful script. My darling Barb, if you're reading this, then Jennifer has shown her true colors. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from this pain. The USB contains everything David Chen needs. He's waiting for your call. All my love. Frank. P.S. Check our honeymoon fund. She doesn't know about it. David Chen answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting. Mrs. Wilson? Frank said you'd call. You knew? My voice was barely a whisper. He hired me 6 months ago. Can you come to my office? Bring the USB. And Barbara, don't go anywhere alone. The people Jennifer owes money to, they're not patient. I sank into Frank's chair, his scent still lingering in the leather. Outside, a car engine idled on our quiet street. It had been there since dawn. Oh, Frank, I breathed. What has our baby girl become? But I already knew the answer. The signs had been there for years, the expensive gifts she couldn't explain, the job changes, the way money seemed to evaporate around her. I'd made excuses, believed her lies, enabled her with my blindness. I saw Jennifer at the casino, Margaret's voice echoed. Gambling. Of course. The family curse that had taken Frank's brother, now reaching through generations to claim our daughter. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your daughter owes us $300,000. Family pays family debts. You have 72 hours. Then another from Jennifer. Mom, I'm sorry about last night. Can we talk? I can explain everything. Please don't do anything rash. I love you. Love. She'd screamed that I was too old, too incompetent, too broken to manage my own life. She'd humiliated me in front of everyone. She'd started stealing while her father lay dying, and she claimed to love me. I looked at Frank's portrait, his kind eyes seeming to watch me with infinite sadness. You tried to protect me, I whispered. Even dying, you were still protecting me. The USB drive felt heavier than it should as I slipped it into my purse. Whatever was on it, whatever Frank had discovered, would destroy what was left of our family. But Jennifer had already done that. The car outside revved its engine, a warning or a threat. I grabbed Frank's old service revolver from the safe, checking the chamber like he'd taught me 40 years ago. Sometimes, Barb, he'd said then, young and earnest in his new police uniform, protecting your family means being ready for the worst. He'd become a banker instead of a cop, choosing stability over danger. But he'd kept the gun, maintained the permit, made me practice until I could shoot straight. Had he known even then that the worst danger would come from inside our own family? My reflection in the hallway mirror showed a stranger, gray-haired, hollow-eyed, aged 10 years in 10 hours. But my hands were steady now. The shock was fading, replaced with something harder, colder. Jennifer had stolen my money. She'd stolen my trust. She'd used my grief as cover for her crimes. But she'd made one mistake. She'd underestimated her mother. "I'm coming, Frank," I said to the empty house, "just like I promised. I'll protect what we built together, even if it meant destroying what we'd created."
David Chen's office smelled like leather and justice, old law books, fresh coffee, and something indefinable that whispered, "Truth wins here." But when he inserted Frank's USB drive into his computer, even this sanctuary couldn't soften the blow. Frank's face filled the screen, gaunt from chemo, but eyes blazing with purpose. My breath caught. He was wearing the blue tie I'd given him for our 40th anniversary, the one he said made him feel invincible. "My beloved Barbara," his recorded voice was stronger than it had been those final weeks. "If you're watching this, then I'm gone, and Jennifer has begun what I feared she would. Please forgive me for keeping this from you. I needed proof, and I needed to protect you from the truth as long as possible." David paused the video, his face grave. "Are you ready for this, Mrs. Wilson? What's on here? It's going to hurt." I buried my husband believing our daughter loved him. My voice came from somewhere deep, somewhere primal. "I'm already broken. Play it." Frank continued, each word a hammer blow. "6 months ago, I hired a private investigator. Jennifer has been gambling since college. It started small, poker games with friends, but it escalated. The investigator documented meetings with loan sharks, surveillance footage from casinos across 3 states. She owes at least $400,000, possibly more." The screen shifted to surveillance footage. Jennifer at roulette tables, her face a mask of desperation. Jennifer signing papers in a parking garage while men in dark suits watched. Jennifer screaming at a dealer as security approached. "She's been stealing from her employer, kiting checks at the real estate firm." Frank's voice cracked. "They haven't pressed charges yet because she promised to pay it back. With our money, Barb. She came to me last month, begging. When I refused..." New footage. Our hospital room. Me asleep in the corner chair, while Frank dozed. Jennifer sneaking in, rifling through my purse, photographing documents. The timestamp showed 3:17 a.m. While I'd been dreaming of better days, she'd been stealing our future. "There's more," Frank said, and now tears tracked down his recorded face. "The men she owes, they threatened Emma and Tyler, our grandchildren, Barb. She's put everyone at risk." I couldn't breathe. The room spun. David's hand on my shoulder was the only thing keeping me anchored. "But I've prepared." Frank's jaw set with the determination I'd fallen in love with 42 years ago. "There's a trust Jennifer knows nothing about. $1.2 million in bonds, gold, and offshore accounts, completely protected, in your maiden name. David has all the documentation. And Barbara, when she comes for the house, because she will, let her think she's won. Then, show her this." The video ended. Silence filled the office like concrete. "There's enough here to put her in prison," David said quietly. "Fraud, forgery, elder abuse. Frank documented everything." My phone exploded with texts. "Carlos, Barbara, where are you? Jen's going crazy. Says you stole something from the house." "Emma, Grandma, Mom's scaring me. She's throwing things." Then Jennifer, "You took something from Dad's safe. Bring it back now or I'm calling the police." "She's panicking," David observed. "She must have had cameras installed to watch you." Rage, pure volcanic rage, erupted from somewhere I didn't know existed. My little girl had turned our home into a surveillance state. She'd watched me grieve, watched me cry myself to sleep, watched and waited and plotted. "Call her," I said. "Tell her to bring the whole family here. Tell her if she doesn't come, the FBI gets the USB drive in 1 hour." David raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? Once this starts, it's already started." I thought of Frank fighting cancer while fighting to protect me. End it. They arrived like a hurricane, Jennifer shrieking about theft and elder abuse, Carlos trying to calm her, the kids huddled together in confusion. Jennifer's makeup was smeared, her perfect facade cracking. "How dare you!" She lunged at me, but David stepped between us. "That's private property. You had no right." "Sit down." My voice could have frozen hell. "All of you, sit down and watch what your father left." "I don't have to." "Sit down." Maybe it was the gun visible in my purse. Maybe it was the look in my eyes, but Jennifer sat. Frank's face filled the screen again. This time I watched my daughter, watched her confidence crumble as surveillance footage played, watched her face cycle through denial, rage, fear, and finally terror. No, he wouldn't. Daddy wouldn't spy on me. He wasn't spying, I said. He was gathering evidence. When Frank revealed the debts, the loan sharks, the threats against the children, Carlos shot to his feet. What? Our kids? You put our kids in danger? Emma was crying. Tyler, only 11 but trying to be brave, had gone pale as paper. Mom, those men who came to school, were they what men? Carlos roared. What men came to the school? Jennifer broke. Not gradually, but all at once, like a dam bursting. I can fix it. I just need the money. Mom has millions. She doesn't need it all. That's not your money, I shouted, throwing her words back at her. That's 42 years of Frank's blood and sweat. That's every vacation we didn't take, every luxury we denied ourselves so you could have a college fund. I'm your daughter. She was on her knees now, mascara streaming. You're supposed to help me. I did help you. We paid for rehab twice. We covered your debts after college. We bought your first car, helped with your wedding, gave you the down payment for your first house. When does it end, Jennifer? When do you stop taking? She turned to Carlos, desperate. Tell her about the investment opportunity, how we were going to triple the money. Carlos stepped back from her like she was poison. There's no investment. Jesus Christ, Jen. You told me your mom was giving us a gift. You said... His voice broke. You said she was getting senile and we were protecting her assets. She is senile. Look at her. She carries Dad's ashes around. She talks to empty chairs. She's crazy. The room went still. Even Jennifer seemed to realize she'd gone too far. I scattered your father's ashes at the lake 3 months ago, on our anniversary. You'd know that if you'd come, but you were in Vegas that weekend. Yes, I know about that too. David cleared his throat. Mrs. Martinez, you have 2 choices. Sign this confession and agree to full restitution, or I call the district attorney in, he checked his watch, 43 minutes. You can't be serious. Jennifer's voice had gone small, childlike. Mom, you can't let them arrest me. What about the kids? What about them? I stood, feeling every one of my 68 years, but standing tall anyway. You put them in danger. You taught them that family is something to exploit. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered on speaker. Mrs. Wilson, your daughter has 1 hour to transfer our money, or we come collecting. Family pays family debts. We know where you live, where the kids go to school. 1 hour. Emma screamed. Tyler ran to his father. And Jennifer just stared at me with eyes I didn't recognize. You did this, she whispered. You could have just given me the money. Now look what you've done. No. I pulled up my checkbook, writing slowly, deliberately. This is what you've done. I handed the check to Carlos. $300,000. Pay those men and get your children somewhere safe. Tonight. Barbara, no, he started. It's not for her. It's for Emma and Tyler. They didn't choose this. Then I turned to my daughter, this stranger who wore my baby's face. You have 40 minutes to decide, prison or restitution. But either way, you're no longer my problem. Mom, please. My daughter died the day she stuck a needle in her father's IV to steal his pain medication. The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere Frank had warned me I'd have to go. Yeah, Jennifer, he saw that too. You want to know why Daddy spied on you? Because you were killing him faster than the cancer. The confession tumbled out then. Gambling, drugs, theft, lies upon lies upon lies. She'd been stealing since high school. She'd forged my signature on her college applications for financial aid we didn't need. She'd sold family heirlooms and replaced them with fakes. Our entire relationship had been a con game, and I'd been the mark. When the police arrived, David had called them anyway. Jennifer didn't fight. She seemed almost relieved. As they led her away in handcuffs, she looked back once.
"I'm sorry, Mom." But she wasn't looking at me when she said it. She was looking at the check in Carlos's hand, calculating its worth. That's when I knew. Frank was right. Our daughter was gone. Had been gone for years. All that remained was the stranger who'd stolen her face.
The house felt different without secrets in it. 3 weeks after Jennifer's arrest, I stood in my kitchen at 5 a.m. making coffee for 3 instead of 1. Carlos had insisted on fixing the leaky faucet before work. "It's the least I can do, Barbara." While Emma sat at the table, homework spread before her like a shield against reality. "Grandma," Emma's voice was small, fragile, "do you think Mom ever loved us? Or were we just tools?" The question shattered me. This beautiful child forced to doubt her own mother's love. I set down the coffee pot, steadied myself against the counter where Frank used to make Sunday pancakes. "Your mother is sick, sweetheart. Addiction is a disease that makes people do terrible things to those they love. But you loved her and she still hurt you." "Yes." I sat beside her, taking her hand. "She did." Emma's tears came then, great heaving sobs that shook her thin shoulders. "I found her journal from before. She wrote about using my college fund for gambling. She called me and Tyler insurance policies, said we were her guilt cards to play on you." I pulled her into my arms, this child who deserved so much better. Over her head, I saw Carlos in the doorway, his face a map of devastation. Tyler stood behind him, still in his dinosaur pajamas, clutching the teddy bear he'd claimed he was too old for just months ago. "Come here," I said, opening my arms wider. "All of you." And there in my small kitchen, we held each other and grieved. Not for Jennifer. She was still alive, sitting in county jail awaiting trial. But for the mother and wife she'd never really been. "I'm sorry," Carlos whispered. "I should have seen it, should have protected them." We all should have seen it. I stroked Tyler's hair as he burrowed deeper into our embrace. But Frank saw it, and he made sure we'd be okay. Later that morning, after Carlos left for work and the kids caught the bus, I sat with Susan Chen in my living room. She'd become more than my former colleague. She'd become my lifeline to financial recovery. The house Jennifer put up for collateral has been seized. But the good news is the loan was fraudulent. You won't lose your home. My home. 4 walls that had seen 40 years of life, now housing my son-in-law and grandchildren while we figured out what came next. "And the hidden accounts Frank set up?" Susan smiled. "Intact and earning interest. Barbara, you're going to be fine. More than fine." But money wasn't what kept me awake at night. It was the envelope that arrived that afternoon. Jennifer's handwriting shaky on the prison stationery. "Mom, I know you won't read this. I wouldn't blame you. But I need you to know something. The gambling started when I was 15. Remember when you and Dad were so proud that I got that job at the mall? I was stealing from the register. Small amounts, then bigger. Then I discovered poker. It was like finding God, Mom. The rush, the high, the absolute certainty that the next hand would fix everything. I won $500 my first night and thought I was invincible. By senior year, I owed $10,000 to kids at school. I wanted to tell you so many times, but you and Dad looked at me like I was perfect. Your miracle baby after all those miscarriages. How could I tell you I was broken? The drugs came later. Stimulants to stay awake for the all-night games, downers to cope with the losses. By the time I met Carlos, I was $50,000 in debt and functional enough to hide it. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking you to protect Emma and Tyler.
There's something wrong in my brain, Mom. The same thing that was wrong with Uncle Eddie. Don't let it take them too. I loved you. Whatever you believe, I loved you. I just loved the high more. Jennifer. I read it 3 times before the words truly sank in. Uncle Eddie, Frank's brother who'd lost his house, his family, his life to gambling. The family curse, passed down like eye color or height. That evening, I showed the letter to Carlos. We sat on the porch swing Frank had installed for our 20th anniversary, watching Emma teach Tyler to skateboard in the driveway. She's asking me to save them from her, I said. Carlos nodded slowly. Maybe that's the most motherly thing she's ever done. David says she'll get 18 months minimum, more if she doesn't cooperate with the investigation into the loan sharks. Good. His voice was hard. She needs to face consequences. The kids can visit her, if they want, when they're ready. They're not ready. He watched Tyler wobble on the skateboard, Emma's hands steady on his shoulders. Maybe they'll never be ready. Maybe that's okay too. We sat in comfortable silence, 2 people brought together by someone else's destruction. Inside, Frank's portrait watched over the living room, and I could almost hear him saying, "You did good, Barb. You protected what mattered." A car pulled up. Margaret emerged carrying a casserole dish and a determined expression. "Don't argue," she announced. "I'm making dinner, and that's final. Carlos, I hope you like lasagna. Kids, wash up." As she bustled past, she squeezed my shoulder. "You're not alone, Barbara Wilson. None of you are."
Tyler ran over, skateboard forgotten. "Grandma, Emma taught me to balance. Watch." He demonstrated, wobbling but triumphant. "Mom never had time to teach me stuff." "Well, you have time now," I said. "All the time in the world." Emma joined us, her smile sad but real. "Grandma, I've been thinking about what you said, about Mom being sick." She bit her lip. Could I maybe talk to someone, a therapist or something? I have all these feelings, and I don't know what to do with them." "Of course, sweetheart. We'll find someone who specializes in families like ours." "Families like ours?" Tyler asked. "Families that are healing," Carlos said firmly. "Families that choose each other." That night, after lasagna and laughter, forced at first, then gradually more genuine, after homework and showers and bedtime stories for Tyler, who wasn't too old for them after all, I found myself in Frank's study. But this time I wasn't alone. Carlos knocked softly. "Barbara, I wanted to thank you for the check, for taking us in, for not giving up on the kids because of what Jen did. They're my grandchildren, you're my son-in-law. Family doesn't end because someone breaks it." He kept thinking I should have known, the spending, the lies, the mood swings. "Love makes us blind sometimes. Did you know?" he asked quietly. "Deep down, did you know what she was?" I considered lying. It would be kinder, but we'd had enough lies. I knew something was wrong, but I thought love could fix it. I thought if we just gave her enough support, enough chances. But it was never enough. No, it was never enough. Carlos rubbed his face. "The worst part, I'm relieved she's gone. How sick is that? I'm relieved my wife is in jail, because at least now I know where she is. I know she can't hurt them anymore." That's not sick, that's survival. My phone buzzed, another unknown number. My heart clenched. More loan sharks? But the text was different. "Mrs. Wilson, this is Rachel from GA, Gamblers Anonymous. Jennifer gave you your number from county. She's serious about recovery this time. The court-mandated meetings won't be enough. She needs a sponsor, someone who understands, someone who lost everything and found their way back. If you're interested in helping her recovery journey." I stared at the message. Behind me, I felt Carlos reading over my shoulder. "You don't owe her anything," he said. "No, I don't. But you're going to help anyway." I thought of Frank, who'd loved our broken daughter even as he documented her crimes, who'd protected us even while dying, who'd believed in redemption even when it seemed impossible. She's still my daughter. The addiction doesn't change that. After everything? Especially after everything. I turned to face him. But this time, it's different. This time, she faces consequences. She works the program. She earns trust back one day at a time. And if she fails, we protect the kids. We protect the kids. Carlos nodded slowly. Okay, but I want a legal separation and custody, and she doesn't come near them without supervision. Agreed. As he left, he paused at the door. Barbara, Frank would be proud of you. The way you handled this, the strength you showed. After he left, I sat in Frank's chair, pulled out my phone, and typed a response to Rachel. I'm interested, but she needs to understand. I'm not the same mother she manipulated. I'm stronger now, and I'll be watching. The response came quickly. Good. The strong ones have the best chance of saving their kids. I looked at Frank's portrait. We're not done yet, are we? I whispered. This is just the beginning. In the distance, I heard Tyler laughing at something on TV, Emma practicing violin, Carlos running the dishwasher. The sounds of a family rebuilding. We'd lost Jennifer to her demons, but maybe, just maybe, we could still save her from them. And if we couldn't, at least we'd save ourselves. 7 months later, I stood in the visiting room of the county correctional facility, watching my daughter shuffle in wearing orange. She'd lost 30 pounds. Her designer highlights grown out to reveal gray roots I didn't know she had. But her eyes were clear for the first time in 20 years. Hi, Mom. Her voice was small, uncertain. Hello, Jennifer. We sat across from each other at a scarred metal table, the weight of everything between us. Around us, other families navigated their own broken relationships, their own attempts at bridge building. I'm 90 days clean, she said. No gambling, no drugs, not even coffee. Turns out I was using that as a substitute high too. Good. Emma wrote me. She pulled out a carefully folded letter. She said Tyler's learning piano, that you're teaching him. He has Frank's hands, natural musician. Jennifer's face crumbled. I missed so much. I was there, but I wasn't. There? No, I agreed. You weren't. The honesty hung between us, sharp but necessary. This was what Frank's video had taught me. Truth, no matter how painful, was the only foundation worth building on. I've been working the steps, making lists of everyone I hurt. Mom, the list... She laughed bitterly. It's everyone. Everyone I ever claimed to love. Lists are just paper. What matters is what you do next. My counselor says I have to make amends. Real amends, not just apologies. She met my eyes. I want to sign over my share of any inheritance. Set up trusts for Emma and Tyler that I can't touch. Ever. I studied her face, searching for the con, but all I saw was exhaustion and something that might have been genuine remorse. David Chen already drew up the papers. Carlos has them. You knew I'd offer? I hoped you would. Jennifer nodded slowly. What else? Therapy. Real therapy. Not just what the court mandates. Dr. Morrison specializes in gambling addiction with co-occurring disorders. She's expensive. I'll find a way to pay. Not for you. For Emma and Tyler. They deserve a mother who's whole. Tears streamed down Jennifer's face. After everything, you'd still... I'm not doing this for the daughter who stole from me. I'm doing it for the little girl who is afraid of thunderstorms. She's still in there somewhere, and maybe Dr. Morrison can help her find her way out.
A guard announced 5 minutes remaining. Jennifer reached across the table, stopped just short of taking my hands. Touching wasn't allowed. Mom, I need to tell you something. About Dad. My chest tightened. What about him? That last week, when he could barely speak, he made me promise something. Her voice broke. He said, "Take care of your mother. She's going to need you." And I promised. I looked him in the eyes and promised. The pain of it. Frank spending his last days worrying about me, trusting the very person who would betray me, nearly doubled me over. "I failed him," Jennifer whispered. "I failed you both. But Mom, I'm going to keep that promise, even if it takes the rest of my life, even if you never forgive me." "Forgiveness isn't mine to give yet," I said honestly, "but Frank would want me to try. So I'm trying." The guard called time. As Jennifer stood to leave, she looked back once. "Tell Emma and Tyler, tell them I'm learning to be the mom they deserved all along, even if it's too late." "It's never too late to change," I said. "Your father taught me that."
I drove home through streets wet with spring rain, thinking about cycles, of addiction, of pain, of love that persists despite everything. At a red light, I pulled out my phone and recorded a voice memo. "Frank, our daughter is trying, really trying this time. I see you in her when she talks about recovery, that same determination you had when you quit smoking cold turkey. Remember? 40 cigarettes a day to none, just like that, because you wanted to see our grandchildren. She has that look now, that I'll do whatever it takes look. I think maybe we can save her after all." At home, I found Carlos teaching Tyler chess on Frank's old board, while Emma helped Margaret with dinner. They'd formed their own family unit, bound by shared trauma but also by genuine affection. "How was she?" Carlos asked carefully. "Different. Maybe different enough." Emma looked up from chopping vegetables. "Did she ask about us?" "Every visiting session. She wants to write you both letters, but only if you're ready to receive them." Tyler moved a night, considering. "Maybe for my birthday. That's 6 months away. I might be ready then." "There's no timeline for forgiveness," I said. "You take exactly as long as you need." That evening, as Margaret's pot roast filled the house with warmth, Emma asked the question I'd been dreading. "Grandma, how do we know we won't end up like Mom or Great Uncle Eddie?" I set down my fork, choosing my words carefully. "Because you're aware of it. Because you're asking the question. Because we're going to therapy, all of us, to understand the patterns and break them. But what if? Then we face it together, as a family, with truth, not denial, with help, not shame." Carlos reached over, squeezed his daughter's hand. "You're not your mother, Em. Neither of you are. You get to choose who you become." After dinner, I found myself in Frank's study. But this time, I wasn't alone. The whole family had gravitated there. Tyler doing homework at the desk, Emma reading in Frank's chair, Carlos reviewing construction blueprints on the couch, Margaret knitting in the corner, humming softly.
My phone buzzed. A notification from the bank, the first interest payment from Frank's hidden trust. I looked at the number, then at the people filling this room with life again. "I want to tell you all something," I said, "about Frank's trust." They looked up, attentive. "It's substantial, more than enough to ensure none of us ever worry about money again. But I've decided something." I took a breath. "Half goes into ironclad trusts for Emma and Tyler's education and future. A quarter goes to gambling addiction research and family support services." "And the other quarter?" Carlos asked. "That stays liquid, for Jennifer's treatment, for our therapy, for whatever this family needs to heal." I looked at each of them. Frank didn't just leave us money, he left us a chance to break the cycle, to be better. Emma stood, crossed to me, wrapped her arms around my waist.
Grandpa Frank was smart. The smartest, I agreed, holding her tight. Tyler joined the hug, then Carlos, even Margaret. And in that moment, in Frank's study, surrounded by the family we were building from the ashes of the one we'd lost, I felt him. Not as a ghost or a memory, but as a presence woven into the love between us. "You know what Frank used to say?" I asked. He'd say, "Money isn't inheritance. Wisdom is. Love is. The courage to face hard truths is." That's what you gave us, Grandma, when you stood up to Mom, when you chose truth over comfortable lies. "We all chose truth," I corrected. "That's why we're going to make it." Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of tea and my journal. I wrote, "Dear Frank," she screamed, "That's not your money, and I thought our family was over. But you knew better. You always did. She lost everything, the money, the house, the false life she'd built. But in losing everything, she might find herself. And we found each other. The money you protected isn't sitting in accounts growing interest. It's paying for Tyler's piano lessons and Emma's therapy. It's keeping Carlos's business afloat while he rebuilds. It's funding Jennifer's treatment and maybe, just maybe, her redemption. But most importantly, it bought us time. Time to heal. Time to truth. To become the family we were meant to be. Your inheritance wasn't the money, my love. It was the wisdom to protect us. The courage to face painful truths, the faith that broken things can be mended if we're brave enough to try. I miss you every day, but I see you every day too, in Tyler's careful chess moves, in Emma's strength, in Carlos's dedication, in Jennifer's struggle to become human again. We're okay, Frank, better than okay. We're becoming whole. All my love, your Barb. I closed the journal, turned off the kitchen light, and headed to bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Jennifer's court date, Tyler's recital, Emma's first day volunteering at the crisis center. But tonight, in this house Frank and I had built with love and maintained with truth, we were safe. We were family. We were home.
If this story touched your heart, if you've ever had to choose between enabling someone you love and letting them face consequences, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please consider subscribing to our channel. Every subscription helps us share more stories of families finding strength in their darkest moments. Remember, sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to be an accomplice to someone's self-destruction. And sometimes losing everything is the only way to find what truly matters.